Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you again with another deck profile, and for today's video we're going to be doing an updated Danger Dark World list. Now, as is always the case with this deck, we have one goal and one goal only, and that is to essentially just loop our opponent's entire hand away, and once that's accomplished, we can use the remainder of our resources to set up a board to the point where no matter what our opponent top decks, the game is just over at that point, right? So, this deck is incredibly good at doing that, and as a result, it's pretty much like an all or nothing type of deck, though, where if you're not able to pull that off, you're probably not going to be able to win the game. And speaking of winning the game, it is incredibly difficult to actually win with this deck currently, just because there are so many hand traps in the game, whether it's like the Mole Charming Meows, Fuelos, Ash Blossom, the Bestials, and most impactful of all, Droll and Lockbird, which just completely stops this deck dead in its tracks. There are just too many factors to consider if you want to be able to try and play this deck even remotely competitively. So as a result, I've basically just elected to ignore those cards entirely and try to do what we do best as consistently as possible. So with that out of the way, let's jump straight into it. As always, we're going to be starting off with the monster lineup first, and as far as the Dark World portion is concerned, it's basically unchanged just because the ratios I feel are pretty much perfect until we get like new support potentially, right? So as a result, we're playing 3 Genta Gateman of Dark World, which the entire deck quite literally just runs through, right? This is the premier starter in the deck. You discard it, you get to add the Gates of Dark World to your hand, and then once you have access to the Gates of Dark World, you can pretty much just start just rolling through your entire engine, right? As you're going to be able to discard, you're going to be able to draw cards, and when this one is banished, usually by the Gates, and you control a face-up Dark World card, which is what Gates is, you get to bring it back once per turn for free. So this is just the card that keeps on giving, right? It provides you with resources, it provides you with bodies, like it just does everything. Then for the other 3 ofs that we're playing, 3 Snoww, Unlight of Dark World. It's discarded, you get to add any Dark World card from your deck to your hand, really, really good. And then the only other 3 we're playing is 3 Reign-beaux, Overking of Dark World. So when this one's discarded, you of course get to add any level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck to your hand except itself, which means that you get access to your OG, Grapha, and your Sillva, but still, the more important aspect of Reign-beaux is that it's able to bounce back any level 7 or lower Dark World monsters. So if you have like a Snoww on the field for whatever reason, or more likely you're going to have the Genta on the field, you can bounce it back with the Reign-beaux and then proceed to use its effect again. Or it's just a great way for you to be able to fill your hand up with cards that you will eventually want to discard again, right? So yeah, 3 Reign-beaux, gotta play it. And then for the 2 ofs, 2 Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World. So while its effects when it's discarded honestly don't really matter because it just destroys a card, its graveyard effect to bring able to bring itself back, much like Reign-beaux, it's unmatched, right? Because unlike Reign-beaux, it doesn't have a restriction in the form of levels. It just, you can't go Grapha for Grapha, but you can pretty much put back any other Dark World monster that you have in the field. So you can put back your Reign-beaux, your Snowws, your Gentas, your Sillvas, cerulis, whatever. It just can't bounce itself back. But much like with Reign-beaux, the recursion that it provides you with in the form of like the resources that it generates back to your hand is just greatly appreciated. Then for the only other 2 we're playing 2 Sillva, Warlord of Dark World, just so that you can get away with, just in case one of them ends being banished at some point, whether it's by like DD Crow, which people are beginning to play again, or a Bestial monster, which is basically in everyone's main deck for the most part, especially if you're playing against like Malice, right? But this is the card, in addition to just bringing itself back when it's discarded, is the one that allows us to loop our opponent's hand away, as if it's discarded by an opponent's card effect, they have to just put 2 cards to the bottom of their deck. And the way that you do that is through ceruli, which when it's discarded, you give it to your opponent, and then on their side of the field, it will activate again for you to discard a card. So you just give them the ceruli, and the ceruli will allow you to discard the Sillva. Sillva will come back, and then you loop 2 cards. Really straightforward stuff. And that's it for the Dark World engine. I don't feel like you need anything else. There are certain times where I have considered playing cards like Brow, but with how prevalent Droll and Lockbird is, it's just not needed in most situations. But there are times that I'm considering that one, and maybe even like a beige, just so that you can have like a small Sillva that you can summon out onto the field, because sometimes you just need more discard fodder, right? That can be normal summoned. And that's it for the Dark World. And then for the dangers, they're playing the 3 danger Tsuchinoko, the 3 danger Jackalope. Those are the only dangers that we're playing at 3, just because these are the only ones that are guaranteed to achieve some kind of result. And by that, I mean they're guaranteed to put a monster on the field no matter what, right? So in the case of Tsuchinoko, you discard it, and either you draw a card and summon it, or you discard it and then it summons itself. And then in the form of Danger Jackalope, it either summons itself and lets you draw a card, or you get to special summon a danger monster from your deck. And that's really useful for just getting cards like Danger Bigfoot or Danger Mothman out in case you want to like exceed someone with them or do something with them, whether it's like exceed, link, whatever. But yeah, that's the only reason why these are the only ones I played at 3, because they're the only ones that are, like I said, guaranteed to achieve a result. We are playing 2 Danger Nessie, which allows us to either summon itself, or if it's discarded, we get to search out another danger monster. But like this deck already is pretty consistent as is, so you don't really need to rely too heavily on a card like Nessie being able to add something, right? Then for the 1-ups, the 1-up Danger Bigfoot, the pop is fine, but we basically just need this because it's a level 8 monster for our rank 8 plays. And then lastly, the 1 Danger Mothman, which it's fine, you know, like it's basically Dark World dealings on legs, but let's be real, Dark World dealings isn't even all that great, which is why no one plays it anymore, since you're just potentially just giving your opponent 1 extra draw into that draw and lock burn that they need to just beat you down, right? But even so, it being a level 4 monster does come up a lot, so 1 Danger Mothman, perfectly fine. And that's it for the dangers. And then for the last monster that we're playing the 2 Gen and the 1 Can again, just because these basically acts as copies number 2 and 3 as ceruli, as it does the exact same thing essentially, right? So you go normal Gen, and then, or you can even special summon it. You don't have to normal summon it, but because this deck doesn't use its normal summon, it's probably going to be normaled. But yeah, you go summon Gen, then activate its effect, give your opponent the Ken, and then Ken will allow you to draw 2 cards and then discard a card. So it's just another card that allows you to dig through your deck deeper, and then potentially just discard a Sillva that way, which is really useful for when your opponent ends up hitting like a ceruli with like a bestial, right? So you know, just having different avenues that don't entirely rely on having to be discarded by one of your own cards is always going to be greatly appreciated. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell and trap portion. Now that we're on the spell and trap portion of the video, we're not going to be playing any traps, but we are playing a good amount of spells, and the only spell that we're playing at 3 is the Gates of Dark World, as it essentially is just, much like Genta, it's pretty much the entire engine, right? It provides us with a free way to be able to discard our Dark World monsters, as well as just cycle through our deck continuously, because we discard the Dark World card, then we get to draw a card, and then, you know, just every little bit helps. But yeah, 3 gates, I just feel like you have to play it, even though I know not everyone's the biggest fan. And then for the 2 elves, we're playing the 2 Allure of Darknesses and the 2 Upstart Goblins. So these are just more avenues that we have to be able to draw through our deck without needing to commit too many resources, right? So Upstart is just like a free card that replaces itself, but then in the form of Allure, instead of drawing 1 card, that allows you to draw 2 cards. The only caveat is that you have to banish a dark monster, which, I mean, we played plenty of danger monsters that we don't always want to use at the moment, so it's not like we're like pressed for cards to banish or anything like that. But there are certain situations where 1 card is better than the other, right? So I just wanted to have a little bit variety with the potential cards that I have to draw. And then that's it for the 2 elves. And then for the 1 elves, we're playing the 1 Called by the Grave to stop the 1 draw and lock burn that our opponent will never have, right? Then we're playing the 1 Dark World Accession, which just allows us to summon out the fusion grapha immediately. You don't need the other Dark World archives. It's so unnecessary with all this draw power that we already have. I know people are big fans of that one as well, but unlike the Gates of Dark World, I just don't feel like it's necessary to play if you want to play this specific variant. Then we're playing the 1 Triple Tactics Thrust, which is either going to get us our Triple Tactics Talent to finish off our opponent's hand, the 1 Dark Corridor, which basically just becomes any Dark World card, and the Card Destruction, just so that we can have like an auto win button, right? And with that, that's the main deck. Should be 40 cards like always, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now that we're on the extra deck portion of the video, we'll be starting off with the Exceed monsters first, and the only rank 4 that we're playing is number 60 Dugares the Timeless, as its reborn effect doesn't really matter, and the boost effect doesn't really matter either. What we care about is the draw 2 discard 1, which, you know, it's a Dark World deck. We like drawing, we like discarding. It seems like a no-brainer to include this card, but truth be told, this isn't going to be made every single time. This is pretty much one of those cards that you make when you're in a very like difficult position and you just need some kind of like last chance hope to be able to potentially draw the cards that you need, right? So yeah, this is pretty much like, while its effect is obviously incredibly good, it's much more of like a Hail Mary type of card than a main card that you want to summon every single time. Then for the other Exceeds, we're playing a bunch of big boys, being the number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, which turns into a monster negate. The Zombie Vampire, which is one of the few cards that we have that allows us to play through Draw and Lockbird, as we just make this guy, then we mill cards, and hopefully whatever we mill allows us to potentially just like play the game, right? You have the Coach King Giantrainer, which is literally only in there for time. And you're typically going to make this with like a grapha, a Reign-beaux, and then a danger Bigfoot that you've summoned, probably and hopefully off of a danger Jackalope. But you know, sometimes you just summon it raw by itself. And yeah, you know, you draw a card, reveal it. If it's a monster, you burn your opponent for 800, and you get 3 tries to do it. So yeah, 1 Coach King, you never want to be caught without it. And then lastly, the 1 Super Starslayer Typhon Sky Crisis, because you just cannot break every single board going second, and this is quite literally a last-ditch effort to try and do it. Then that's it for the Exceeds, and then for the links, we're playing the 1 Akashic Magician to be able to bounce back cards that it points to when it's summoned, the 1 Security Dragon, which basically functions the same as Akashic, but it has to be co-linked to bounce back cards, but they both come up pretty frequently if I'm being honest, so it just genuinely depends on like what type of linked monsters that you have on the field and the positions of the monsters on your opponent's side of the field. But yeah, they're both pretty good at what they do. You have the Knightmare Phoenix, which is just like a good generic out to back row. Muckraker from the Underworld, which discards your cards to be able to reborn your fiends. 1 Dharc, the Dark Charmer Gloomy, because there are a lot of dark monsters in the game currently, so you just summon the Dharc, take one of your opponent's guys, and then try and do something with that, right? You have the 1 IP Masquerena, which is going to be pretty much one of your go-to end board pieces, and when you're summoning off the IP is going to be the SP Little Knight, just because it's a very good card that allows you to answer most things that your opponent would want to use. You have the 1 Saryuja Skuldred, which in a deck like this is honestly pretty impactful just because you have so many different types of monsters, right? And it's very easy to just end up clogging your field as a result. So what you do is you just summon the Saryuja Skuldred using those guys. You get to draw 4 new cards, which, like I said earlier, this is a Dark Roll deck. You love drawing cards. And then you get to put the bad ones at the bottom of your deck. And this card just does so much in addition to that, right? It boosts all your guys by 300 attack whenever you summon it to a zone it points to, which is whatever. But the main power, in addition to the draw effect, is that this one allows you to special summon monsters from your hand. So if you just have like a bunch of Dark World monsters in your hand and you want to be able to try and like summon out like a grapha in your graveyard, right? You can just summon one of your guys from your hand and then bounce it back with like the grapha or whatever. Or I don't know, like I just enjoy the utility that this card provides you with. But yeah, 1 are usually perfectly fine. And that's it for the links. And then for the fusions, just the 2 grapha fusions, because this is what you're going to be summoning off of your Dark World Accession, right? So you want to have at least 1 copy, but the second one is also just in there for like insurance, just in case. Not that you should ever really need it, but you never know, right? And with that, that's the Danger Dark World deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!